they may not personalize it, but he's
credit there. Okay. But Representative Khanna.
This is just a quick little convo, just about this little thing here.
1 hour later.
0.5 trillion and 3.5.
Seine, come on and talk about it. Come into Discord.
building seeds, keep building progressive power. If you want a progressive movement, it's not going to happen overnight. And be critical of us where you think you keep pushing us.
The problem is that Americans are too fucking fickle. They're not going to fight for shit in 2022. We are not going to see more seats in the Senate because they're not going to fucking fight. They will fold. They will fold. It's what we've fucking done every single goddamn time.
Tremendous credit there. Okay. But Representative Khanna,
let's go ahead and bring in Seine for the commentary. Hey, friend.
Hey, I was watching the stream. Just to make sure, Cenk was either mad at Roe for the bill in the Senate not passing, or that the House was not going to vote on the bill if it made it through. What was it exactly, just to clarify?
So here's what's going on. Okay, originally the idea was that the bills had to go on dual tracks, which means that, okay, so the Senate already voted on the infrastructure bill. Okay, yep. So what needs to happen to appease progressives like what Cenk wants is they need to go and vote on the Biden's Build Back Better reconciliation bill, right? The reason that that bill has to be voted on in the House first is because it's got to be sent to the Senate. So keep in mind, the Senate's already voted on the infrastructure bill. That shit's sealed up in the Senate. But if the House votes on the infrastructure bill and it passes, all the progressives in the House lose all their leverage to get the other bill passed in the Senate because they haven't voted on it yet. So that's the paradox here. Okay, because right now Manchin is saying he's not guaranteeing his vote on the reconciliation bill. Even now, after they gave him everything he fucking wanted, he's saying he's not guaranteeing his vote on it.
The problem that I have with this is Cenk is, and I'm not criticizing Cenk for being too right or like too far right here. What I'm upset with Cenk doing is he seems to be criticizing one of the few people that is actually like on our side here, and I don't know whether and he seems to be criticizing him for actions outside of his control that you have to do to play the game of politics. Is that correct? That's what I've got the impression of. So
I would say yes, except they're going to go ahead and vote on the infrastructure bill with no guarantees that Manchin's going to vote on the reconciliation bill. And they've already ceded so much ground in the they've ceded, because remember, we started at $6 trillion fucking dollars, and we've ceded the ground all the way down to $1.75 trillion to appease Manchin. And Manchin is still saying his vote is not guaranteed. But here's what they're going to do. They're going to vote on the infrastructure bill, and then they're going to vote on some rule that somehow will tie the future reconciliation bill to it, but it's like it's non-binding, so they can just opt not to do that, so the big criticism here is that so we have Joe Manchin has not guaranteed anything, and the big problem is that if we truly give up all of our leverage to Joe Manchin and he gets whatever he wants, that will not deliver on any of the things that progressives want, right? Right.
At the end of the day, where I am on this and where I think that all of us should be is that, unfortunately, even though I am far to the left of Manchin, this is Manchin's party right now. If we want to have any chance of 2022 midterms or the 2024 election, we have two options. We push whatever the hell we can out of the House and Senate, whether it is what we want or whether it's marginal, or we can have Biden do shit. And Biden has no restrictions on him, but he doesn't seem to be doing shit. So at the moment, we're focusing solely on this area where stuff is being blocked up, and we have the option to push it through. And it seems like Ro Khanna is solely focused on making sure we at least get some shit done. And I don't think that Cenk should be like lambasting one of like the most progressive candidates for trying to play the game, and also lambasting a person that I would consider like a future big runner in the Democratic Party.
So here's the issue with that is Roe is from a district in Silicon Valley. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's folded a lot on progressive issues where it comes to like some of the economic type stuff. And so I do think that even though he's generally better and he's very public and very willing to be out there in the forefront, he's not always great either. Like, you know, he's better than most. He's to the left of most, but there are things around tech that and taxes and stuff like that sometimes he can be questionable about.
Yeah, but it seems like he's making the right decision to get at least something through on this, right?
I agree that you get something through, but that something could really end up being nothing. If Manchin just decides to tank everything, it's nothing. It's like you ceded all your ground. Yeah, you got a hard infrastructure done, but you know that hard infrastructure, half of that is corporate giveaways, and it is not doing anything for the average working American. You know, so that's where it's like the optics are not good. Electorally, the optics don't look good unless they do more. And that's where my concern is I think that's where Cenk's concern is that it's not about, okay, you know, it's not that I won't take less. I'm fine with taking less. I'm totally in agreement that, you know, we are going to have to take less than what we're taking or what we want, you know, but the issue that I have is that we're ceding everything to Manchin and trusting him to actually fucking vote yes when he's telling everybody he's not fucking guaranteeing shit. And that's a scary prospect because he potentially could go rogue. Kyrsten Sinema did go rogue on the $15 an hour minimum wage. So like these people haven't shown to be trustworthy in these areas. That's my problem. And like, if they're not trustworthy, then you can't cede ground this early. Like, and Ro Khanna did make one point, and this is where I'll cede a little bit of ground on my argument is that they're the status quo, so they're perfectly fine with nothing changing.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, what is Ro Khanna supposed to do? I don't understand. Like, is he supposed to like hold up the bills that are coming through to make sure that we like to infinitely push on Joe Manchin, even though we have no leverage over him because he's essentially a rogue candidate that if he gets kicked out, it's too late for us. And he has, at the moment, no need to adhere to even his constituents. He's not interested in running again. So the only thing that Ro Khanna can do, unfortunately, is cede ground to Joe Manchin. This is Joe at the Senate and the House is the corporate Democrat platform. And at the very least, while I hate the corporate Democrats, they might pass some marginal things that at least look better than getting nothing done.
Yeah, we'll see how that stands up for the American people, though. And that's
I don't think it's going to work well for the American people. But what do you think?
I think optically, it's not going to help elections. I think optically, they're killing their party right now. I think they're optically eviscerating their fucking party. What's that?
I'm not sure. Like holding everything up is going to do much better, though. Like, what are the problem is we're stuck with two shitty options, right?
Yeah, but if we hold it up, we may be able to get more concessions because you got to remember, the reason that they want this infrastructure bill to go through is because it's their fucking donors that are benefiting from it. They have a vested interest in making sure that infrastructure bill goes through. It's not about the American people. That's the difference. Like Manchin and Sinema, the people that are investing in their campaigns are getting huge windfalls from that infrastructure bill. They need it to go through. They fucking need that bill to go through. So, well, for their own political futures, if they really want one, you know.
To be fair, that may be true of Sinema, but that's not evident of Manchin at the moment. I see Manchin as a completely like loose cannon in this case. He has no reason to adhere to anyone besides himself at the moment.
Well, no, he's invested in fossil fuels. That's what I'm saying. There are windfalls that happen for the fossil fuel industry in the reconciliation bill, and some of that does go to West Virginia.
So I guess your argument is that if we wait longer, Joe Manchin's donors will push him more to push through this bill.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Exactly. I think he can be pushed. I think optically, if it starts to look worse for him, donors that are attached to him aren't going to want to be attached to him, especially if he slips in public. Like, for instance, like if he ends up going off on a protester or something like that, which is why I think the demonstrations are great pressure, because all he's got to have is one bad take in public, and that could potentially cost him donors. It's just like that. That's the way the optics are. It's very sensitive right now. We see it all the time in media, in social media, and people getting canceled for this or canceled for that. If Joe Manchin slips and says one wrong thing, like, he can lose donors, and that loses him big ground, because, he's not in it for, he's not in it for the people, but I don't think he wants to leave office anytime either, man. I think Manchin's in it for the fucking long haul. I think he's going to seize power as long as he fucking can, because he's power hungry. It's not about just the money. It's about he wants to be there. Cinema, I think, could go either way. I think if she found money as a lobbyist outside of being a politician, she'd be fine with it. Manchin wants the power, though.
Do you have any? I'm sorry, I don't really see that could be true. I just don't see the evidence of that's what's influencing him. At the moment, he's demonstrated that he's legitimately interested in running as a independent, which would crush his chances. He's interested in not running again. I'm not sure if we can truly rely on Manchin's hunger for power. The way that I see it is he is absolutely a loose cannon, and he's only going to adhere to his personal interests. And what I think it comes down to is we see what Manchin wants, and if it's at least marginally better, we go with what Manchin wants. And that's what we're set with at the moment. I'm not sure how you push Manchin anywhere else. We just don't. If that's first, I don't. Well, to be fair, I'm not sure that was a Chenk's argument.
No, his argument was that Manchin could just tank the whole bill and just decide not to vote on it.
Yeah, so I don't. Well, and if that's Chenk's argument, I don't get why he was so upset at Khanna, one of the people that is actually trying to do good, even if there's contention on that.
I don't think his frustration is with Khanna directly. I actually think if you watch the broadcast further, he really, really praises Khanna for coming on, answering the questions, talking about it. I think his frustration is with the Progressive Caucus as a whole, and not kind of digging their heels in. Because listen, if this was the far right of the Republican Party, they'd fucking hold up everything. They would hold up every fucking thing, son. There would be no fucking punches held, nothing like that. They go full in, dude. And
I agree, but that's because
the left doesn't do that. And I get the difference is that it's because we want something to actually move forward, whereas all they're trying to do is just obstruct everything, right? So it's easier to be an obstructionist, It's harder to be somebody that's trying to progress society.
Well, to be fair, there's also a slight difference there. The Republicans are holding up against the Democrats. We're holding up against other Democrats.
Yeah.
So that we're capping ourselves in the knee regardless. And what it really seems like, and if he is truly just mad at the Democratic caucus as a whole, what it would come down to is, so what? We need to get something through. And do you really think that we can just sit on the bill and if we push nothing through, then we'll kind of see success? I think risking it on the idea that Manchin will suddenly change his mind and change his voting patterns from what he's done before is pretty risky.
Yeah, well, that's exactly my point, though. You're making my point for me.
Well,
we can't rely on him to do that,
Mm-hmm.
And that's again why I said you have to hold up the infrastructure bill. He's got a vested interest in pushing that.
Yeah, but you were relying in him changing his voting records, which is something that we've not seen.
If hurts his pocketbook, if it hurts the interests who are funding his campaign, then ultimately it will hurt him. And at that point, he will change his position based upon what his donors want him to do, because that's where he's malleable. They want that infrastructure bill at all costs. You see, that's what I'm saying. They want the infrastructure bill horribly bad because of the giveaways that's in it for them, his donors. So that's where the leverage is. But that's the only leverage we have. And if we cede ground with that, then we get nothing. If we can get them to at least vote for this, the reconciliation framework before we vote for infrastructure, we're in the clear. That's it. That's all it is. It's a matter of who votes first. Like, all I'm saying is they should vote. The Senate should vote first. Manchin should vote first to provide the confidence, because they've already guaranteed the vote for the infrastructure bill if they vote on the reconciliation. If they vote yes on the reconciliation, that's it. That's all we're looking for.
I agree, but I'm still just not sure. Like, so I agree that this bill would help him and help the world and help everyone, right? And even, like, especially put through in its original value. But why do you think Joe Manchin has, like, rejected the bill so far in every capacity?
Because have you looked into Mylan Pharmaceuticals? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, I'm a little bit familiar.
So he's got vested interests in that. That's why the big part of it, the Medicare being able to negotiate drug prices, was pulled out. He makes a lot of money off of that. He makes a lot of money off the coal industry. You got to look where the money's at. Like, this isn't conspiratorial. This is just, you can see it,
I do agree with you, but for example, like, the Medicare benefits and the climate change bill are still in there. And
they've been weakened substantially. Okay.
They have.
And
I'm just not...
they've got 4 prescription drugs that may be able to be negotiated in like 10 years. Like, what the fuck is that, dude? Like, are you kidding?
No, I agree with you on... Okay. I agree with you on a few hands. I think everyone would have loved the original bill. I actually think the original bill, even beyond before the Build Back Better bill, but the original bill before that, were insubstantial, and it should be a $10 trillion bill from the start.
Agreed. Right? Yep. And that's where Bernie was headed with it. That's what he originally wanted. Yep. And I agree with that.
And the other part that I would agree with you is that this is going to be insubstantial in terms of actually helping America to a large degree. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure what happens if we don't, like, the occasion where I see if we really hold up and we dig our heels in is nothing gets done by 2022 because we have such a divided Senate. And then midterms go by, we lose the Senate, we lose the House, and then Biden, only with the ability to push through executive action,
we're losing the Senate and the House. If these bills go through like they are right now, we're going to lose the Senate and the House anyways.
Then
we're going to lose the Senate and the House.
We can get something through.
I'm black. I'm a little bit black-pilled on what they did here, and maybe that's my dark personality.
I just disagree with you on the fact that even an insubstantial bill would look better going through than no bill.
It'll look good for some people, but I think the problem is that the people that will go and vote, all right, this isn't going to mobilize them. Here's what could mobilize them. Okay, so let's say Biden, this is all he could get through. This is what Manchin's going to do. This is what Sinema's going to do. This is what we got. Okay? So what he could do, after the bill passes, after he signs the motherfuckers, okay, however fucking shit Manchin decides to fucking rip the bill apart, which he's going to do, it's going to end up being like a $500 billion bill by the time it's all done. I would bet fucking money on it, dude. And I'd bet it's gutted to the point where it is completely ineffectual for anything. But okay, we'll let him gut the bill like you're talking about, because that's what he's going to do. He's going to fucking gut it, eviscerate it, and we'll probably lose more shit. And then after he gets done gutting it and eviscerating it, and Biden signs this bullshit ass fucking tokenized virtue signaling piece of shit into fucking law,
Mm-hmm.
The only savior that Biden's got is to relieve student loan debt.
There's a few that he could do, but
that's the one that would have the most economic impact on like working age people.
I actually disagree with that a bit. The thing that I want Biden to do most, which is I think the thing that he could do, but I don't think he's going to do it, is legalize weed, or at least decriminalize it. That would be the thing that I think is most substantial.
Well, I've always wanted that, but I knew from jump that he wasn't going to do that. He said that like straight off, like when he first started running, that he was not going to legalize weed.
I think you could push Biden to do that, because I think Biden, at least more than Cinema and Manchin, do have a vested interest in continuing the success. And I think Biden could make the the sacrifice in pushing for something that he doesn't personally want in order to appeal his citizens. And that would be what I would push for, but that's kind of tangential to the point. I think, I don't see a way that you push this through with that, like in a way that Joe Manchin would dislike it. Do you agree? Like, if Joe Manchin doesn't like the bill, do you think he can get it through?
I think he can be persuaded. I think there are things that can be done to persuade him. I think, heavily, like Jenk said, I think public pressure is a big thing. I do think that makes a difference. I think that weighs on people, because it weighs on their donors. It weighs on the people that are investing in them. And that's how you attack it. That would be what I would say. I'd say that's how you would do it. You may not get everything you want. You may only get him to budge a little bit, but he'll budge a little bit. Like, I think you get him to move a little bit. You may not move a great deal.
I agree, but are we not doing that? I get like the big criticism, I guess, from Cenk, which I would agree with, is that he's not going hard enough on Manchin.
Right.
But I don't
it's not them out there. It's activists like the Sunrise Movement. It's not the other Democratic senators and Congress people. It's
well, let's be fair. We can look at Bernie. Bernie is like ripping into Manchin.
But it's him and him alone, man. And like, that's the thing, is like, they need that from some of the people that are a little bit younger and a little bit more polished. I love Bernie, but people fucking clown on Bernie. Like, they treat him like the crazy old man in the room, even though he's the most intelligent guy in the fucking room and knows exactly what the fuck he's talking about. They still do that to him. Go look at Fox News. You put some suit and tie up there that's a younger guy. But you put some younger guy up there in a suit and tie that the fucking looks the part, and have them say the exact same things, and you're going to get a different result, because optics matter. Like, and it's stupid to say that. I fucking hate that about American politics. It shouldn't matter what the fuck somebody looks like. You should listen to what the ideas are, but people are stupid and fickle and, American Idol obsessed. And, that's the kind of culture that we have. So you have to get a polished face to say the same thing that Bernie's saying, and get them to go into places like West Virginia and Arizona and say that and be forceful about it. And then I think you could see that change. Khanna, and I think that's another reason why Cenk goes hard on Roe, is because he does personify that. He's polished, he's clean cut, he looks the part, he looks like a fucking politician. He moves and maneuvers and acts like a politician, but he has like our best interests at heart. That somebody like that goes into those places and goes hard, it makes a big difference, And I think that's where he's getting with that. I think that's what his intentions were. Not that you need to go and like cut below the belt, like talk shit about him, like heinously, and get personal. But, there are things that you can bring up,
Okay, so let's go through this like one by one. So you would agree that like what responsibility does specifically Roe have, and why is Cenk specifically like aiming this at Roe as the only person that's willing to come on?
Because he's the only person that's willing to come on. I think he'd say the same thing.
Yeah, but that's not fair.
I think he'd say the same thing to every single one of them, though. I don't think it's exclusive to Khanna. I think if he had Ilhan Omar on there, if he had Ayanna Pressley, if he had Bernie on there, if he had any of them on there, he would say the same thing. But Roe was the only one that come on, And so I don't think it matters. Like, that's what I'm saying. I think to Cenk, it's not exclusive to Roe. The criticism isn't exclusive to him. He's speaking more as a whole for the, like, referring to the Progressive Caucus. You know,
Yeah, but it's not a criticism of, like, okay, is this a criticism of the Progressive Caucus that they don't have the ability to do anything when they're not given the electoral standing to do anything?
well, it's that they do have the electoral standing. All they can stop every bill with 3 votes, and they have that. They have that alone on the Progressive Caucus. The Progressive Caucus has over 36 votes. They could stop any fucking thing they want anytime they want.
Yeah, but you have to remember that only works if we have a strong enough Democrat majority. Right now in the Senate, I'm pretty sure there are 52 senators that are happy getting nothing done. So what is adding some progressives that also are aiming to get nothing done?
Because those two corporate Democrats want the infrastructure bill. That's what I'm saying. That's why they're pushing so hard on it. They want that infrastructure bill. Like I said, their donors are getting money from that. That's why there's a vested interest for them. That's why they.
Okay, so if they want the infrastructure bill, why are we afraid of letting Joe Manchin cut it?
We're not afraid of him. He's already signed on to the infrastructure bill. We're talking about the reconciliation bill.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean the Build Back Better specifically, right?
Yeah. So you got 2 bills, right? Manchin and Sinema desperately want that infrastructure bill. They want it. They are fucking pushing harder than shit. They want that bill more than fucking anything, dude, because their donors are pushing them to get that bill through. Like, they are heavily invested in that. That's the leverage. That's what I'm saying. If you want concessions from Manchin and Sinema, you have to hold up the infrastructure bill. You have to hold up the infrastructure bill at least until they vote on the reconciliation. Because like I said, they can turn around and just say, I'm not voting on the reconciliation. But they do want that infrastructure bill. That's the one thing that I disagree with Khanna on, that he said. Manchin and Sinema, that's where the leverage point is. That's where the advantage is. Like,
I don't know if I agree with that characterization, though. Like, I agree that they probably are pleased with the specific bill. I was under the impression that bill had already passed. So I guess that was my mistake going in. I think it specifically passed the Senate,
yeah. And they want the House to vote on it because that would codify it and get it over to Biden's desk. So that's
I can understand why doing. I guess that does. So when it comes to this, I can understand trying to get anything through. I do think, like the reconciliation, that is a slight amount of leverage. Like, so let's look at it this way, right? I'm not especially happy with the original bill, and I think the Build Back Better bill is not much better. I was under the impression that we were holding out specifically on the Build Back Better bill because Manchin wasn't making it as strong as it could be.
No, it's not even that. Like, it's simply that he has already said, he telegraphed just today that he just might not even vote for it anyways. And this was after they came out with the plan to go ahead and vote on the infrastructure bill and go ahead and pass the infrastructure bill. He said that after the plan came out for that. That just happened today. That's why Cenk's so up in arms about it, because
I understand. I think
he's already talking about pushing it through, and then now he's coming out and saying, no, fuck you guys. Now that you're planning on pushing the infrastructure bill through, fuck you. I'm not gonna do it. I may not vote on your bill. So stuff it.
Yeah, I guess here's my question to you, and this isn't a theoretical, right? How long are we willing to let Manchin boil on this? As long as it needs to?
I would say you could give it until the end of the year. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. The implementations of the programs are going to take a long time anyways. Nothing's happening overnight with this shit, So I think letting it go for another month or so, and seeing if you can move him, or all I would really want him to do at this point, Sen, I hate the fucking Build Back Better plan that's there right now. I just want him to vote on that first. That's it. Yeah, that's all I want. If he votes on that first and then they vote on infrastructure, I'm fine. I disagree with what's in the Build Back Better plan, but that's what he originally agreed to. It's the price tag he agreed to. It's everything that he said he wanted, and now he's saying he may not vote for it. So I don't think that they should vote on infrastructure until he votes on that, because we've already kowtowed to him in every fucking way that he wanted. We've given him everything he wanted. So at this point, that's why I'm like, like, we can't see ground and vote on the infrastructure bill. We can't fucking do it.
I'm not so like. Let me ask. Let's say this is pushed towards the end of the year, right? And Manchin's still not caving.
Mm-hmm.
When are you willing to just get through that the original bill?
The reconciliation or the infrastructure?
The infrastructure.
When he votes in favor of the reconciliation bill.
Are we talking until 2022?
If he doesn't want to vote for it till 2022, then so be it. His donors are going to fucking get pissed off and pull funding. So, you know, he'll fold. He'll fold. Because this is a game of chicken. Okay, this is a bullshit ass fucking optics game because he doesn't want to see ground in the public sphere. He's already probably on board to vote, but he could turn that corner at any time, son. And that's the thing. Like you said, he's a loose cannon, and we don't know what to expect from him. That's why you have to hold his feet to the fire because here's the deal. Okay, so we get through the infrastructure bill and he tanks reconciliation. What then? What do you do?
So the way that I see it is Joe Manchin only really has to hold out for another. Like, he has a time limit for how much he has to hold out, and it comes down to, and the thing that I fear is, what does he care about more? Not letting this bill go through or passing the original bill? And I think that we're taking a lot of gambles, even though we have an existing, like, and the way that I see it is we might just have to take what victories we can. And I understand why you can make like concessions on that. And I understand that we have a little bit of leverage here, right? But I'm not sure. Like, it's relying on a lot of factors, and that's what scares me.
All we're asking for is for him to vote on the fucking reconciliation bill. That's it. Mm-hmm. The reconciliation bill that he negotiated that fucking outlines the shit that was compromised with him, not with somebody else. This was him. This was his compromise, Sen. Yep. His. And he came out today and said he may not vote for it. That's what I'm saying. Like, we will get no reconciliation bill. And the infrastructure bill is not a win for the American people. I'm telling you. Nobody is going to call that a win.
I don't even, like, you agree with me. I don't even think.
Like, it would look so horrible if we only passed the infrastructure bill. Like, it will definitely tank a lot of people's runs in 2022.
Yes, but
even people, even moderates, it will tank their runs. It will even tank moderates' runs.
But I think what's going to take them worse is taking a risk on something that I don't know that we can, like, really take a risk on.
Listen, the infrastructure bill they'll send will eventually go through. That one will eventually go through. No matter what, that one will go through. We know that.
Well,
that's a guarantee.
Unless we hold up until 2022 and we can no longer take a proper vote on it because we lost the midterms.
Well, we have until fucking November of 2022, son.
So then you're willing to say that when we get to November 2022, and if Manchin is still holding up, you'll push. We're okay pushing through that bill.
We just got at that point. I hope it doesn't take that long. I really don't think it will. I don't think it's going to take that much longer. I don't think holding out for a few more months it's not going to hurt us. Now, if you're talking about, like if we're hitting November 2022 and Manchin's still fucking playing this game, yeah, dude, you vote for whatever you can and fucking make a mad dash to get through everything you can to make yourself look as optically good as possible. But I think we do have some time, and we need to play with that time a little bit. And we need to sweat him out a little bit. And this is the time where we can put pressure on him. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I would do. That's what I would do. Because all he's got to do is vote. That's it. It's already been negotiated. It's the bill that he wanted for reconciliation. We're just asking him to pull the trigger first. That's it. We've already said we'll vote for infrastructure. We've already said we'll do that. That's it.
Now let's okay. I can agree, as long as you agree with me that if it comes to November and we got to get something through, we'll get it through.
Well, I would hope, and I would even say not November. I would say that would have to happen by the summer of 2022.
Okay, good.
No later than the summer of 2022, because you're going to have time to build up campaigns around the fucking bullshit that was passed and why anybody should entrust this dysfunctional ass government to fucking stay in control, you know? Like I'm just telling you what the working class is going to say, you know? Most people are independents. They're not Democrat. They're not hardcore Democrats. They're not hardcore Republicans. They're going to go to where they see the most benefit to them in society. And if they're not
the way that I just see it right now is like I mentioned before. We have two options to get things through. And Biden is a sealed deal. Whatever he's going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever's going to happen there, he's going to be in control, and we're just not going to care about that. So when we're looking at this, like this with the Senate and I guess the House as well, it's an incredibly risky area. And the thing that I fear is I guess like you could be in the correct situation that his constituents really care enough about that bill to not let it pass, while to not let the Build Back Better bill pass, but really want that reconciliation bill. I think it is taking a risk that if you really, really wanted that the bill to go through, he wouldn't care and he would take the deal to push them both through. He would have done it by now. We've been talking about this for ages. And if he's trying to get it down, like if he offers another bill, we'll see what Manchin says, I guess. I personally am fine if we just get that goddamn bill through and we have something and we can potentially, even if it's not what we want, we could potentially move on to something else. Well, that we just need to get stuff through.
And I do want to point one thing out. I think that if we at least get this pared down reconciliation bill as it is, they can't pare it down anymore. I'm telling you, Sen, if they do it, it's going to cause problems. Like we're we're already in a shit show. We may be able to do some damage control, especially if like you're talking about, cannabis would be one thing they could do. The elimination of student loan debt would be another thing they could do that could be done directly through the White House, right? That doesn't necessarily need policy passed through the Congress. Those are things that could be done that could help to mitigate our losses in that reconciliation bill. But you've got to have Biden's willingness to do it. And is he going to go there? Will he go there? I don't know. You know, a part of me thinks he's really loving that Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin are there because he's never been this progressive. Like, this is not his wheelhouse, man. Like, he's from the state of Delaware, you know, he was owned by the fucking credit card industry, you know, like in finance industry.
Yeah, okay. So like let's look at this a tiny bit. So we have the breakdown of the bill. The Medicare benefits at the moment are like minimal for hearing, right?
There's none for hearing, so we did get hearing out of it.
Oh no, we still have hearing. We lost everything else.
No, that's what. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, okay. I'm saying the same as you. Yeah, exactly.
And we have about a 35 billion part of that bill of what was proposed is what's left in that bill, right? Almost nothing. Right. And I think like when we're looking at like what negotiating power we have with this specific bill, I am, as awful as it is, I think you could make the argument that solely pushing through climate stuff, where this 320 billion push through for clean energy, for specifically tax credits, but not for like plans, but just providing tax credits, is something that Manchin is okay with. I don't think that he has a problem with that part, right?
They were just talking about him wanting to eviscerate the methane tax that's in it, so I don't know. We'll see.
The tax incentive or the tax?
The $500 billion that would be imposed on the $500 billion methane tax.
Yeah. So the $550 billion is two parts, right? It has the part, so they cut out the electricity unit companies that like were taking out the tax on the fossil fuel industries. What I think Manchin is okay with is the tax credits for clean energy.
Oh, of course he's okay with tax credits. You know, he's always okay with tax credits.
But what I'm saying is that we have that 320 billion portion. I think we have that set, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the, I think it was cut down 50 billion for specifically the tax, the tax on fossil fuels, and to a certain degree, if you could make the argument that you up that the clean energy tax credit and lower the tax on specifically like fossil fuels, I think that could be a better argument and something that I would be okay with pushing through, I guess. I think the Medicare is so negligible at this point. I would be shocked if he attacked it again, though he could, I guess.
I need to give a shout out to a few people that just followed. King Dave version, thanks for following. Eric Rick 2, thanks for following. I hope I said that right. Who else just followed? I had like 3 in a row. You guys bombarded me. I was surprised at that. Thank you very much.
Go follow me too. I'm at some streams.
Junior, yeah, go follow Sunstreams too. Junior Broder 30, thank you for following as well. I appreciate that. I'm sitting here talking with my homie Sunstreams. He's got his own stream as well. It says Sunstreams. I'm going to put it in the chat real quick. Sunstreams, I'm talking to him about the conversation between Ro Khanna and Cenk. Cenk went in kind of hard on Ro Khanna. I think it's fine because I think he's attacking the entire Progressive Caucus, not necessarily Ro Khanna. And we're just talking about.
Well, I mean, he was pretty expressly attacking Ro, but
well, he's who was there, you know. Like I said, if you watch after the fact, you can tell that like they are very friendly and probably like talked plenty well after and before about like how that was going to go down. So I'm sure. Because he praises him several times over throughout the rest of the broadcast. He's very, very pro Ro Khanna. He fucking loves Ro Khanna. Because you got to remember, Ro Khanna is more like a sockdem. Like, he's much more like in the jank arena of the left.
Oh, hey, I think Ro Khanna, like, legitimately, if we ever manage to get the House back on track, could be someone that could run for president and actually do good. He's like one of the people that I'm holding out for.
If nothing else, he could be a great Speaker of the House. I think he'd be excellent.
I mean, or so maybe.
What's that?
Nancy Pelosi's gonna live for another 200 years.
Let's fucking hope not. Jesus Christ, Skeletor.
Okay, so I want to. Do you mind if because I do have like some final thoughts on that specific topic, and I do have a reason why I'm slightly worried about taking the approach that Cenk is suggesting. Right.
Okay.
So, you've agreed with me that eventually would have to cede the ground on this bill, right?
Yeah, at some point, you know.
So, I'm pretty sure Manchin knows that too, right?
I don't know.
So, well,
we would hope so, but you know, again, you said it yourself. He's a loose cannon, so. What he knows and what he chooses to do can, you know.
I'm going to operate under the assumption that Manchin is familiar that at a certain point, if the House does nothing, they have to push through that bill. And, right?
Yeah.
We just have like no choice about it. So the way that I could see this happening is Manchin goes to his donors and he's like, hey guys, I know you really want this bill. But look, if we like wait a little bit longer, just a year, and you get your massive benefits, if we wait for a little bit longer, you get everything you want, but you don't get these taxes put on you, and your competition doesn't get subsidies. And also, to my drug people, and you won't have problems, and you can like keep being hearing barons. And I think that would be the argument that Manchin would make. And not that I'm not that those are good arguments in any capacity, but I do think what it may unfortunately look like leverage is more of a ticking time bomb.
Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do think I think but I think that that leverage, like I said, it can expire, and I agree with you that it can expire. There's a point at which you gotta cut your losses, but you should pressure as much as you can while you can. And
I agree.
If it comes to that impasse where it's like, shit, we're down to this, it's all or nothing. Fine, so be it. Pull the trigger. But what's it gonna hurt to wait a little bit longer to try to get it done when all we're looking for is him to vote first? Like, Sen, that's really that's it.
Yeah,
we just
I
want
agree.
him to vote first. That's it. Like, that's literally it. Like, we've compromised everything, did everything in the bill basically that he wanted. I think there's a couple things he's a little perturbed about, but he's gotten over. But that's it. And I don't understand what the problem is with saying, okay, like, I'll vote for it real quick because I already agreed to it. You negotiated it with me. This is what you settled on because I wanted to push it this far.
I mean, like, I guess, like, the thing that I would be okay with, and what I think Cenk could make the argument for is a little bit clear, is at least waiting until Manchin rejects the bill. Then I would be okay with it,
Yeah. So you want
which
to
is
say
only
outright, I'm not fucking voting for this,
Mm-hmm. I think, like, purely waiting, hey, we're going to wait and see specifically what Manchin decides is going to happen. And then after that, we will reevaluate. And I think that would be the smartest thing to do. Not saying that we're going to hold out for, like, all this time until Manchin agrees. We just need to hear an answer. And I think that's a reasonable opinion. Would you disagree?
No, not at all. I think that's a great way to move, because then you can do other things. If he says no, now you can start talking about how to pressure. Now you can start talking about some of those tactics like Cenk wanted Khanna and the Progressive Caucus to use. Because now at this point, he's wanting his candy, but he doesn't want to give anybody else their candy. And so then
the reason I think that could work is, as we're still operating under it, the bill has been cut massively. Like, if we look into this, free community college is gone. Dental and vision is gone.
Yep.
Lower prescription drug prices are gone. And paid family leave is gone.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much in this bill that should really be offensive anymore. So there is a good chance that he would push through the bill because he's actually okay with it. And I think waiting until that decision could be valuable because it could add a little bit more influence. Now, if he says no, I think then there would be arguments to push through that bill regardless of what Manchin says. But at least waiting until it happens, I think could be valuable.
Well, yeah, because then you could say, listen, we had to go ahead and push the infrastructure bill, but the reason that you guys aren't getting the relief that you need is because Manchin said no. And
I think at least
you could mobilize people around, hey, we need more seats in the Senate, we need more seats in the House, so that we can get these agenda items through.
The other part that I think could work is I think you could potentially push through more bills like the original reconciliation bill, right? I think even though there's like a limited amount of reconciliation bills pushed through, I think that there are corporate bills that nonetheless could provide better results that we could push through right now that I would be happy with just because we're pushing stuff through. And I think this occupying our space right now is kind of harmful. For example, I took a look on Manchin's website. One of his big issues, quote unquote, on his website. Now, he lied on his website about a lot of this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the ones that we haven't seen him lie exactly on yet is he cares about homeless children, right?
Wow.
So, a big deal, right?
I mean, no, homeless children is a horrible situation, but he's saying things, he's virtue signaling, but materially he is not providing for those homeless children. So, like...
So, one of the things that I could see push through... that could have been the original bill. I would need to look into the original bill more. I'm more familiar with the bill back better at this point. But one thing that we could do is if we could just get this past us at a certain point is we could focus on other bills that Manchin might also be open to accepting.
Right. This isn't the end-all be-all, and it's not to say that some Republicans wouldn't come on board for some climate change bills, because there's actually been some Republicans that have been very concerned about climate change, surprisingly. And they could possibly split from their party on it for certain things, especially if it's like tax incentive programs and stuff. You could get some Republican support for that in a separate bill. You know what I'm saying? So,
and like that would be another reason why I think we just kind of got to move past this at the end of the day, pretty soon. And we can put up other bills, but it would be nice because I think, like for example, Cinema like killed the $50 minimum wage bill.
yeah.
But there is some stuff that they might be open to, and if we can, like, even if we pass, like, let's say we pass 5 hopeless bills, right? Like that no one even cares about. That might just look a little bit better. And that's all I'm hoping for.
Well, let's cross our fingers, man. It seems like we're wishing in one hand, shitting in the other, and you know which one's filling up first.
All right. I am still against Cenk in this take, but as long as you admit that attacking Khanna should not be the thing that we're focusing on right now, I'll agree with it.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. I think it's a coalition thing, and you gotta like, the coalition needs to work better. That's all I'm saying. But I don't think Khanna individually has done anything personally wrong in this. You know, I think he's doing what he can. So I agree with you on that.
Okay, I'm gonna let you get back to your stream and let you get your viewers back up. You were at like 13, and towards the end of this conversation, I killed 5 of them.
That's all right. That's all right, brother. I'm happy to have you. You have a good night. All right. Well, maybe I'll see you back.
I will yell at you from the chat if I need to.
There you go. There you go. Rock on, brother.